Hey gang, it's Gene from Crossbow Magazine with another product spotlight. In my opinion, this product here, just released, is the greatest change ever in the world of modern crossbow hunting. Let me introduce you to the Garmin Xero X1i laser range-finding crossbow scope. Yes, you heard that right, a laser range-finding crossbow scope. Basically, it's an optical scope combined with a laser rangefinder and a trajectory calculator all in one device. So in simple terms, you see a target, a deer, an elk, you look through your scope, push a button, it automatically ranges that target, spits out a range, and calculates out at one aim point to aim to the yard as far as you want to shoot. Really is a game changer, and I don't use that word lightly. To get into a little bit of the details of the scope, you can see how compact it is. It's only 6 inches in length, so it's actually more compact than a traditional compact crossbow scope. And if I turn it on in and look right at you, it's really narrow too. It's really amazing that they were able to get all this technology into such a compact scope. It's got a 32mm objective lens. The ocular lens on the back is fully adjustable for focus. It's got 2.5 inches of eye relief, or just under 2.5 inches of eye relief, so it is set up for a crossbow hunter. There is no recoil, so that keeps the scope back, and it keeps the weight of the scope right on top of the receiver where you need it. And the great thing about it, the way they're able to keep it so compact, is the poro prism design, which you find on a lot of high-end binoculars. The laser range finding is right underneath the objective lens, so the scope is kind of offset a little bit. So that keeps this ocular lens low, so your cheek weld doesn't get messed up at all, and it keeps the unit narrow. So there's just a ton of engineering that went into this scope. There's only a couple buttons on it. There's a trigger button on the top for the rangefinder. There's also a wire trigger button here on the back that you can put anywhere you want in your grip. I have mine on my forehand here, so I use my thumb to activate it. And then just 3 simple buttons, an on button and an up and down to scroll through all your menu items. Setting up the device is super simple. If you can answer yes or no questions, make your typical windage and elevation adjustments, you're good to go. I'm not a tech guy, and this scope is super easy to set up. I know a lot of people had concerns about any kind of electro-optic, how complicated they are. This scope is not complicated at all to set up. Once you get it set up, you can set up for fixed aim points too. So a lot of guys like 20, 30, 40, 50 yard aim points. You can set that up, and you can toggle between that and your laser ranged aim point by just simply hitting that trigger button. One push of the button turns the unit on. Speaking of that, you'll get a year of standby life with the lithium batteries, and you'll get over 1,200 range finding triggers with one set of batteries. So it's going to last at least one hunting season, and most likely even several if you're a typical shooter. But anyway, you can set up them fixed sights, which a lot of guys like, or you can just simply stick with the single aim point like I do. Just push the button, you get a single aim point as far out as you want to shoot. You can move the reticle up and down. So on a really fast bow, if you move your reticle up or your aim point up in the display, you can shoot out to 150 yards. Not saying that you would shoot that far on game. On the Wicked Ridge that I got this mounted on, I can get out to about 110 yards on my aim points with no problem. So just a ton of flexibility built into it. As far as the display goes, it is just packed with, you can be a simple guy where you just want an aim point and your laser range distance, or you could be a guy that wants the maximum information possible, and you can set all that up in the scope. Bubble levels are really important these days. If you're shooting long distance, knowing if your bow is tilted or canted is very important. There's 3 different leveling devices in this scope electronically. You can enable them or disable them as much as you want. I leave one of them enabled. There is a really cool feature called steady aim. So when you're holding the bow, especially if you're shooting offhand, there's a big circle around your aim point. And as your aim gets steadier, that circle shrinks in. So it gives you instant feedback on how steady your aim is. If you get it all the way in to directly around your aim point, your aim is as steady as it can be. So it's a really cool feature. Another one that I have enabled on there is called the Flight Apex. So say you're shooting 50 yards, it'll put a line above your aim point which shows the maximum height of that arrow. So if there's a limb in the way, by just looking through the reticle, You can determine if the arrow is going to go over the limb or not get to the limb, you know, if you're shooting an animal in a timber. So it's a really, really effective feature that I have enabled a lot. There's a compass on the top. That's used for, you can enable it or disable it. Garmin has a laser location feature. So if you have a compatible watch, say you shoot an elk and you see it disappear next to a certain pine tree on the next ridge, you can actually use your scope to laser range that pine tree, and it'll save that distance, and it'll save the compass heading, and you can use your watch or your compatible device to walk directly to that waypoint, right where that elk disappeared at. You know how things look different when they get to the ground. So just a really amazing feature. For the crossbow guys, there's a feature in there called string odometer. So say you like to change your string and cables every 400 shots. You can enter that into this device and it'll count down your actual shots. So you'll know when you get to 0, okay, it's time to change everything out. So there's just a lot of thought that went into this device for the crossbow hunter and for the archery hunter in general. You really can't appreciate it until you really get your hands on and start playing with all the features. Like I said, if you're a simple guy, it's a great optical product with laser range finding capabilities, and you can just put a single dot. If you're a guy that likes some maximum information, it's all there at your fingertips depending on how you set it up. So it truly is an amazing product. It's not an inexpensive product, but I would make the argument that your money is better spent on the X1i than on the bow itself. So meaning, if you have a certain amount of funds and this X1i is in your budget, spend the money on the X1i and save some of the money on the bow, because this scope will make more of a difference to your hunt than the bow you're shooting. So the X1i by Garmin is really that good. So anyway, you know, go to your nearest retailer, check this out. Go to Garmin's website at garmin.com, and you know, you'll have more videos on there and all the information you want to know about it. But I've been able to take a doe with this scope this fall, perform flawlessly, and I hope to take a lot more animals with it, and I'm sure Garmin's going to do extremely well with this scope. So go check it out. You'll be impressed. Thanks for watching.